What up, niece? What up?
Anaheim.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
I have a dream today. From slavery and segregation to the Great Migration to our present-day rising, the Black experience in America is a story of resilience, achievement, and unstoppable spirit. This February, we're curating amazing conversations celebrating the heroes, the pioneers, and the everyday people who made history. Black History Month on KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we carry the torch forward.
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to break the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light. See the light.
Salam. Hit the like, share, and subscribe.
Constructive behavior typically elicits a dopamine release that I don't get. So doing something quote unquote kind, I don't feel that attaboy, that pride. It's more matter of fact. There was someone in the grocery store who didn't have the money to pay for their groceries. So I paid for the groceries for this person behind me. And then I left the store. I wasn't doing it because I wanted any credit, or this is a problem that needs to be solved, so I'm going to solve it for this person. But I don't get that hit of, wow, what a good person I am. That was a nice thing to do. But I do get it from something destructive. I get this jolt of feeling that sort of snaps me out of my pressure. In much the same way that someone who has obsessive compulsive disorder, they can't tell you why washing their hands 8 times or doing a series of rituals makes them feel less anxiety. It just does. And that was similar to what I was experiencing as a child. When I was a kid, I was at a sleepover, and I decided to walk home in the middle of the night, which I understand is not a typical choice. And on that walk home, there was someone who had left their garage open in my neighborhood. And I went into the garage, and I actually got in the car that was in the garage. And I remember feeling so much peace. It was existing in a world where I knew I wasn't supposed to exist. It really neutralized the pressure that I had been feeling that day. As I got older, breaking into homes was my sort of go-to for neutralizing the pressure that I would feel. And I never took anything, and I never did anything destructive within the home. It didn't matter to me whether it was a huge house, small house, an occupied house. I started to lean more toward houses that weren't occupied for obvious reasons, but I found some regular places that I liked, and I felt that I could get in and out of safely, and I would just sit in the silence, and I could feel all the pressure going away and all of the apathy flooding in, which is not, I don't believe that's normal. I think that when most neurotypical people find themselves in a house where they're not supposed to be, they're going to be anxious about it. Their heart's going to be racing. It was the exact opposite for me. And what I came to realize is, this is how I want to feel. This, I don't care. I don't care, and it's okay. It's okay to feel apathetic. It's okay to just have no emotion, to just sort of float. And what I found was that these regular acts of disciplined deviance helped prevent more spontaneous acts. And that was always a concern for me, particularly after I had stabbed the little girl in my class. If I waited too long, there was a possibility that I might not lose control, but resort to something more extreme. And I never wanted to be at the mercy of these compulsions. So as I got older, I started to engage in them almost like a prescription. I would do it whether I felt like it or not.
This young lady has a very powerful story. What's her name again, Andy? She has a very powerful story. I think she has her PhD. I think she's a clinical psychologist as well, but she's also a diagnosed sociopath, right? What's her name, Andy?
Patrice Gagne.
Patrice Gagne. And what she broke down was, and a lot of people don't know the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. Psychopaths are more likely to get in trouble with the law, but sociopaths know how to blend into society. And I know a lot of these topics sometimes feel a little familiar because the sociopath is reminiscent of, the way they move, how they process. It's reminiscent of the cognitive empathy that some or many narcissists employ, right? Cognitive empathy, which is a kind of performative empathy. It's not really being empathetic because they're not feeling what you feel. They're not understanding what you feel from an emotional space. They're understanding it from an intellectual space. So sociopaths move like that. And her story was quite interesting. And she broke down a concept called disciplined deviance. Like she would give herself microdoses of bad behavior, right? And that would give her a dopamine rush. Now, what's very interesting about this whole piece, sociopaths, psychopaths, they do things like masking. They know how to perform, especially if they're high functioning, they know how to perform to make it seem like they're just normal, regular people, just, they're not neurodivergent, right? Everything is good, right? They know how to perform. And it's interesting because of the Carl Jung piece, right? The mask we all wear. And what's crazy is, or interesting, I should say, all of these different terms, sociopath, psychopath, anxious, preoccupied, fearful, avoidant, dismissive, all of this stuff is born out of childhood, right? Whatever happened or didn't happen or was supposed to happen that didn't happen, it all comes out of childhood, right? Narcissist, codependent, SLDD. And it leads us to our topic tonight. Again, another one from Attila. The disciplined deviant. Are you giving your shadow intermittent reinforcement? A deeper look at the dopamine rush of psychopathic thrill seekers. Now, what's so interesting about this? A lot of times, the thrill of our life typically is the relationships that we're in. For a lot of people, again, going back to that old familiar thing, even if it's toxic, right? We know it's not good for us, but we do it anyway, right? Because it makes the most sense to us. Just like what she was describing, she was at a sleepover and she decided to break into somebody's house, and that became a thing for her, and she started to break into abandoned homes because it gave her a sense of peace. It gave her a sense of quietude inwardly. And she said she noticed that if she didn't do certain thrill seeking actions, that she may act out. It would be like this buildup of, I haven't done anything deviant, I haven't done anything bad. Now, it was her father while she was in college who told her, hey, you might want to go seek therapy. And she went and got therapy and then got the clinical diagnosis based off of, the particular criteria that is needed to pass in order to be labeled as a sociopath. But she was clinically diagnosed as one, and that began her journey, man. So, and I'm applying this to intimate relationships. We all would like to paint ourselves with this broad stroke of how good we are as people. But I think deep down, a lot of us entertain some of our more deviant thoughts in relationships as it pertains to our partners, especially if we're not getting what we think we want. I think cheating for a lot of people kind of satiates that thrill, right? That thrill seeking desire. Can self love coexist with the dopamine rush of risk? Or does the pursuit of thrills signal a betrayal of one's own boundaries? This is why when I hear people talk about, oh, you got to be disciplined, right? First off, you got to know who you talking to. You got to know what that person has been through. You just can't apply a blanket license term. You lack self-discipline. Well, what have they been through, right? We don't understand ourselves in context, and we damn sure don't understand other people in context. So what we tend to do is just apply these blanket attributions to people and say, well, if you don't follow this particular rule or this moral concept, you're somehow not a good person. Well, we'd have to investigate as to why they lack discipline, right? And I think it's a very important question, right? This question interrogates the paradox where the very act of nurturing oneself might paradoxically fuel a drive toward dangerous, thrill seeking behaviors. It challenges us to re examine self love, right? Or whether self love serves purely a protective shield, serves as a protective shield, or if it may inadvertently prime the neural circuits for intermittent reinforcement, right? In other words, I'm not going to always tap in with me because it hurts. It's scary. So when you do that in an intermittent way, you tend to lose sight of self. When you lose sight of self, you're probably prone to making decisions that could either hurt you or someone else. Is the discipline of the deviant a conscious strategy for healing? I'm going to give myself a little bad, right? Is it a conscious strategy for healing trauma, or merely a mask for unresolved emotional wounds? By integrating the insights from childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, research, and shadow work, this inquiry questions whether disciplined deviance represents a therapeutic, albeit counterintuitive, method of processing early trauma. That's kind of what the lady did. She said, I'm not going to the sleepover. I'm going to break into a house. Now, she was perfectly safe, and then she formulated a way of breaking into homes that weren't occupied. Disciplined deviance. What I'm trying to point out here, do you know everybody is on the spectrum? In some kind of way. You hear narcissists, right? Narcissism, it's on a spectrum. You hear autism, it's on a spectrum. You hear all of these things on a spectrum. If you came from a traumatic upbringing, there's something in you. You're on the spectrum somewhere, and it's going to manifest itself in intimate relationships. It really will. Do our traditional models of attachment fail to capture the paradox of intermittent reinforcement in high-risk behaviors? A lot of our relationships are high-risk behaviors. Why is it that we ignore when we know this person isn't good for me? This person can hurt me. Or we delude ourselves and say, oh, this person, they might be bad to other people, but they wouldn't be bad to me, right? Drawing on attachment theory and empirical studies, this title challenges conventional wisdom by suggesting that the unpredictable rewards of risk-taking may reflect a fundamentally misunderstood mechanism of emotional regulation within interpersonal relationships. Can the shadow's dopamine surge, right, illuminate hidden pathways to transformation, or does it signal a descent into self-destructive chaos? This is very interesting. I want to know what you think about tonight's topic. You guys already know how we do this. This is an open discussion, non-judgmental discussion. I want to know your thoughts. When I think of people who struggle, right, with quote unquote doing the right thing, especially as it pertains to, say, cheating or lying or manipulating, right? For many people, it's very hard to look at themselves and say, oh, I actually do this, right? The disciplined deviant. Are you giving your shadow intermittent reinforcement? This is a very deep topic, a deeper look at the dopamine rush of sociopathic thrill seekers. And have you ever taken a test, especially if you came from a very, very toxic environment? Have you taken a test to verify if you, in fact, are a sociopath? The sociopaths are the ones who can blend into society, lack feeling. I'm very interested to know. Get to your phone lines. The number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. When we come forward, we're going to be talking to you. Come on, Attila, get in here. Hey, Brother Zoe. Hey, what up, what up, what up? Hey, James, thank you, bro.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to
Get on the phone. I want to talk to you all.
these Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting.
What up, y'all? Everybody up in here, hit that like button, hit that like button. We got 45 people and only 29 likes. Let's get those likes going.
6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com. Or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call.
It's not, but you wrote it. You wrote this. Let's get it. Set off my intro, Attila.
Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach: transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal: prevent system contact and help people exit the system.
Copy a dictionary and become ambidextrous.
Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235.
That's what we need to talk about. You never know who you'll inspire.
KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to the African American communities of Los Angeles?
30 seconds.
We got the scoop you can't trade. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free publication available for you. Download a digital way and become an exclusive subscriber at OG.
No, tapped in. I never heard of the song.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Health Hackers episode 21. I'm Gemma Evans. I'm a journalist and presenter here in the UK. And this is my series devoted to getting inside the minds of some of the most pioneering figures in health, wellness, and mindset. My guest today is Dr. Ramani Devarsana. She's a clinical psychologist and wrote the book titled Should I Stay or Should I Go? Surviving a Narcissistic Relationship. Over the next 30 minutes, we will be discussing how to spot and handle the narcissists in your life. But not just that, we're going to touch on sociopaths and psychopaths too. Dr. Ramani, hello, and thank you for coming on to Health Hackers.
Good morning, Gemma.
So here's what I would love to know first. What motivated you to write a book about narcissistic relationships? It's funny. I had no idea where the world was headed when I originally got into this work, and it's funny how it all collided. But when I first started doing this work, what I was really noticing was the clients who were coming into my practice were almost kind of all saying the same thing. Like the amount they were suffering at the hands of a partner who was really neglectful and lacked all empathy and was really entitled, and they would be really bad behavior on social media. I mean, obviously, the specifics of the story would vary, but there would be this consistent piece, and the way the people who were being affected by these kinds of relationships was consistent. And that pushed me into this literature on narcissism. And I was really shocked at how little of the science talked about how other people are affected by it. Like in psychology, we tend to talk about a person with depression, a person with substance use, what they're going through, but we don't tend to think as much about how others around that person are affected, and especially these personality patterns. And at the same time, in my lab, I'm a university professor at a place called California State University, Los Angeles. We were also studying difficult personality patterns and how that related to health. And what we were finding is that in a healthcare setting, people with these kinds of personality patterns were just wreaking havoc, making life miserable for the doctors, for the nurses, for the front desk staff. And so then I realized, like, wow, there's just a lot of difficult people out there, and yet everybody keeps giving them second chances. She's having a bad day. It's a tough week at work. She had a mean mother. They just kept making excuses for these people. And it seemed like these people the narcissists were just receiving these excuses and never changing their behavior. The final piece was and then I had clients who were coming in who were narcissistic. And I thought, nothing I'm doing is working. Nothing. I read everything I could. I tried every therapeutic technique. And the best I might do is kind of get them to show up on time or not be as insulting. And I thought, well, if I'm going through this, what are their partners? So there's like a lot of things happening at the same time. And then the world took some massive shifts in the last 3 to 5 years, and narcissism has sort of now become the new normal. And it's now in the United States. This was a bad week. It's getting dangerous. It's getting dangerous.
Wow, narcissism could be the new normal. That's a big statement. Oh my God. Well, so tell us how do you tell the difference between a narcissist and someone who's just a bit arrogant or a little bit different? What are the traits of narcissists?
Yeah. It's a great question, and one of the biggest confusions that comes up and actually causes a lot of tension in online forums is like, you should never diagnose someone you've never met. So I'm not diagnosing anyone. There's a pattern called narcissistic personality disorder. That is a diagnosis that appears in diagnostic manuals like the DSM or something called the ICD-10. It's there with all the bells and whistles of the diagnosis, a list of symptoms. Here's the thing. When you diagnose this pattern, not only do you have to have many of these narcissistic patterns, but that person also has to be experiencing significant impairment in their life or distress about the symptoms. Like, for example, a person who's depressed is like, I'm miserable, I'm sad, I can't get out of bed, I can't go to work. They have a subjective sense of discomfort, so they'll go get help in most cases. A person with narcissistic personality disorder, I should say a person who's narcissistic, often feels like my life's going just fine. I'm making lots of money, I do whatever I want, whenever I want, I'm not bothered by other people, I just do what I want. So we rarely see narcissistic personality disorder, but this pattern called narcissism, it's just that, it's a pattern, it's like a trait, in some ways. It's almost like saying someone's stubborn or they're sweet or kind. We know what that means. And so when we look at this word narcissism, and the sort of the noun being a narcissist, is that it's like a bucket. And in that bucket are all these little words like the person who's narcissistic lacks empathy, they're deeply entitled, they think they're special.
He's on fire tonight. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with Four Things.
What up, y'all? Y'all gonna get on the phone lines. I want to talk to you. Call me right now. The number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. Are you masking? I know there are some sociopaths in the chat. Can we be honest? Did we all escape the toxicity Long-legged Mac Daddy. He said, that's me. Call in. Call in. 1-800-920-1580. Did we all escape the toxicity that modeled us? People think because they had two parents that it wasn't toxic. Yeah. Third Eye says, I'm definitely a sociopath. I believe it. I believe it. What you waiting on, Attila? He said, with a heart of gold. A sociopath with a heart of gold is genius. Everyone raised by two parents was raised in love, period. Okay. Waiting on the other students. No. We can't wait. I wish that were true. He who thinks back up in here, what up? They play a tax spot right next to my tax spot. I hate it. Oh, wait, somebody just, who is that? Is it No? 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 Is that the name? Thank you, brother. I swear to God, true, the battle of the taxes. J Ma, what up? You could say that, yeah. Appreciate you, bro. Jay Jemerson, happy birthday, bro. Blessings from Funky Town, Dallas. Phil Jackson said, what we talking about? We up in here talking about some heavy topics. Let's keep it rolling.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community.
Jay Jemerson. And don't forget, like and share, like and share, like and share, like and share, like and share. So you know we're gonna get rain tomorrow. We're gonna get, they say we're getting heavy rain Thursday. So tomorrow's Wednesday, but they say Thursday we getting rain. Rain. If you're enjoying Wisconsin getting all the snow, I believe it. I hope we get the good rain that cleans the air, because the air still, CO2 is still at 662 right now. And the fire was what, a month ago? Over a month now. Brother John Gilbreth II, Pastor John. Yeah, that's what we're hoping. Hope that rain just. But the more rain we get, as cold, as devastating as the fires were, the mudslides are on the way. Like the soil can only absorb so much water, and then shit starts moving. 20 seconds. That's what we talking. Relationships, Phil. This must be your first time, bro. This is a relationship show.
Discipline, the root meaning of that word means to learn. To learn why one controls, why one suppresses, why there is fear. Why does one conform, compare, and therefore conflict? And in that learning, there is order. That very learning brings about order. Not order according to any design, pattern, but in the very inquiry into the confusion, into the disorder, there is order. Right? Look, most of us are confused because we have, for a dozen reasons, which we needn't go into for the moment. And to learn about confusion, to learn about the disorderly life one leads, not try to bring order in confusion or order in disorder, but to learn about disorder.
Listen, man, Krishnamurti is saying, we'll sit back and look at these terms. Oh, that guy's a sociopath. My God, look at him. And he's saying, look at your own disorder. You are a sociopath too. You're not very much different. Sociopathic masking refers to a defense behavior where an individual conceals their natural personality or behavior due to social pressure, abuse, or harassment. A study from Brazil found that people with sociopathic traits are less likely to comply with mask wearing and other measures to limit the spread of coronavirus. Do you see? Yeah, I'm not wearing a mask, right? But why? Because sociopaths are antisocial, right? Right? This is very interesting the way this is all laid out here. A defense mechanism where an individual conceals their natural personality. Sounds like code switching, doesn't it? We do it at work. We do it in relationships. There's relationship code switching. But we don't call ourselves sociopaths. Now, do we? We don't even see ourselves as antisocial, do we? But many of us have come from upbringings that could have created a sociopath, a narcissist, an SLDD, self-love deficient. And the only way to figure this out is to do what? Self-inquiry. Many people are afraid to do it. In what ways does self-love act as a shield against harming others? Don't we want to harm those who hurt us? How many of us have very clean and nice and sweet and caring and empathetic breakups? 1-800-920-1580. Can thrill-seeking be considered disrespect of your own boundaries? What are some of the indicators that certain deviant behaviors are connected with CPTSD and childhood trauma? What are some benefits of us using intermittent reinforcement to help regulate our emotions? Many people, of course, who were in a traumatic situation as children and they modeled a very toxic situation, many of those children have a very difficult time regulating their emotions. Right? 1-800-920-1580. True or false? Discipline can control but not necessarily cure behavior. To me, discipline is just a euphemism for masking. And what's the difference between sociopathic masking and the mask that Carl Jung spoke of, that everyone wears? The mask, of course, Carl Jung was talking about the term mask. It actually means persona, the personality you present. This is what I'm saying. If you want to have a real conversation about relationship, we really got to get down to how real you are not. Right? How much of the real you shows up in your interactions with others? Can you be yourself? Can connections be made between infidelity and disciplined defiance or disciplined deviance? Does the inability to emotionally connect with a partner correlate with the propensity to seek thrills outside of an existing relationship? Could polygamy or other relationship types classify as intermittent reinforcement for those who are not emotionally and or spiritually equipped for monogamy? If so, would alleviating the dopamine addiction make alternative relationships less desirable? Everybody's out for some type of dopamine hit. And we're going to recontextualize the term dopamine. We're not going to call it dopamine. We're going to take it from our good friend Ronan out of Naptown, Indianapolis. We're going to call it copamine. Because everybody is just trying to cope with being themselves. They don't really like themselves. They don't really approve of the full version of themselves. right? The mask is the most appealing aspect of themselves, to themselves, and to others, right? So we're all dopamine addicts looking for the next hit. And while we're at, listen, as all addicts will put on a show. Are you putting on a show in your relationship because you haven't dealt with your childhood issues? Are you performing love? Are you performing empathy? Are you performing self-care? Ooh, wow. In what ways can self-love shield one from self-destructive impulses while simultaneously fueling a covert drive for high-risk, thrill-seeking behavior? 1-800-920-15. Have you noticed everybody wants to travel now? Let's go travel. Right? That's a coping mechanism for many people. They're getting a hit. It's an escape. Right? I know. How might early experiences of CPTSD or childhood trauma intertwine with later patterns of disciplined deviance that produce intermittent bursts of dopamine? Do you understand? These are the real reasons why we relate. Are y'all paying attention? We're relating to get some kind of high because we can't find it in ourselves. We can't find it in a relationship. Do you know how quick it is or how easy it is to get bored with somebody? Once we tap into their rhythm, tap into their pattern, then what happens? We start to become hypercritical of them. You know, you need to start doing different things. You know, you do the same thing every day. You know, people are addicted to dopamine, right? When one enforces strict discipline without cultivating compassion, what internal cycles might emerge that mimic covert emotional abuse? I'm only pointing these things out, as Krishnamurti just did, because internally we are broken and confused, right? We are disjointed. And we have been taught that in order to pull yourself together, you need an external anchor. You need someone who complements A, what you have, and B, what you don't have. Do you see? Do you see how we've mishandled and mismanaged the actual spirit machine that is intimate relationships? I want to know how you deal with it, how you cope. When we come forward, I'm going to be talking to y'all. What's cap, Attila? What's cap? What's cap? Talk to me. Hey, Andy, can I get a water? What up, y'all? Willie Johnson, you need to be in here, boy. This topic got you written all over it. Hell nah, Melody. I'm tired of quitters. We not quitting, Melody. Get in here tonight. Melanie, you gonna call? Peace and love. So everybody keep hitting that like button. What up, pimp? Thank you, sir. I think y'all just like to hear me talk, huh? Is that what it is? Y'all be like, I like Zoe talking. Zoe talk. Y'all gonna help me tonight? Y'all thought I was psychologically playing with y'all like some reverse psychology last week when I said get in here and help me. Then I started coughing. It was like, oh, that's reverse psychology. Oh, I saw it. I'm Gemini. I don't miss a lot of stuff. No reverse psychology. I was really struggling. They thought I didn't see that shit. I just kept going like. And then like Kendrick later on, sometimes you just gotta pop out and show niggas.
So what's a high-functioning sociopath? A high-functioning sociopath is a person who has antisocial personality disorder who tends to be less impulsive and more calculating. They often have higher intelligence, so they might have a higher level of education.
Pause this and start it over. And then the reason why. Antisocial personality disorder, right? But listen very carefully to the description and see if you can apply that to people. It's easier to apply it to people you've dated. But can you apply some of this definition to yourself? Go ahead.
Jam, so what's a high-functioning sociopath? A high-functioning sociopath is a person who has antisocial personality disorder who tends to be less impulsive and more calculating. They often have higher intelligence, so they might have a higher level of education. They might move in different social settings. They don't get caught as often when they break the law. They're less reactive to anger sometimes. Basically, they blend into society much better. They actually can maintain jobs and maintain relationships where some low-functioning sociopaths can't. And they often achieve great success, even corporate success, even political success.
All of this is born out of early childhood stuff. Trauma, neglect, lack of emotional attunement. All of this stuff is born out of that. We want to have real relationships, right? Right? We can't have real relationships unless we have real conversations about what the science is saying. Listen, can I just Can we have like a real grown up talk right now? Do you? I'm a 50-year-old guy, right? And early in my life, y'all know, we're not really having serious conversations about contraception. Let's just be honest, right? We vibe, we chill, and it gets to that point, and then we close the deal, right? We're not having serious conversations, right? And if we're not having serious conversations about sex, we're not really having serious conversations about psychology either. We're just trying to fit. We see ourselves as puzzle pieces, and we're looking for a piece that actually intersects with our zigs and zags. That's it. Right? So when we bring these types of topics to the forefront, people are like, wow, I never saw myself as a sociopath. But when you start to see the overlap in the definition, even when they're defining avoidant types, whether it's fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidance, there's some overlap in the definition that crosses over into narcissism. And you have to be very, very subtle and educated to understand, or you have to be very educated to understand the subtle difference between the two. You have to know, like, but if you're not having these conversations, if you're not interested in this kind of discussion, you're going out on a limb in every relationship you enter, right? In every single one, right? How might one differentiate between genuine self-regulation and a disguised form of self-punishment that masquerades as disciplined risk-taking? Like, people are not even asking these types of questions. They don't even know to ask these questions. But if, like, you know, you say, well, how did your last few relationships end, and what was your part in it? Right? That's one way to get people talking. But people tend to avoid those kind of conversations. And if you understood the definition of a sociopath, they're going to know how to navigate those answers, right? Because they're good at masking. But so are you. If you're insecure about the totality of who you are, guess what you're going to be doing? You're going to be mirroring the sociopathic masking, because you have an agenda and an end result that you're trying to get to. Man, I'm so sick of manipulators. And I swear, once you start really digging deep into the information and studying and reading, you start seeing them everywhere. When we come forward, I promise we're going to get to the people on the line. Let's go. I'm lying, because ain't nobody on the line. Now, it's been an hour. Attila, this is your topic. Get in here. Y'all be doing me. Nas, you should get in here too. We can't call and tell you we relationship criminals. Yes, you can. Nikki, of all people, Nikki, you could call. John Gilbreth, I got to hear a word from the pastor. Attila, get in here. Nephew, get in here. The layers there are unmatched. They're pleading the fifth. I see him. I'm a damn fugitive. Mulder and Scully are on the scene. Get in here. I need y'all. I promise y'all, I'm at the end. I'm at the end of this thing. It's over. Yes, let's not confess. The unregulated goat and range fires have got me on the ranges. No candor. I got you.
Black love still exists. What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy.
How about this? The child wasn't here, and you still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's baby.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I understood.
I'm pregnant. Betrayal has been committed. I hit you with a bad vibes routine. How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it's pink in the nip.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses. Yeah.
How do you write women so well?
So William, reason and accountability. The voice of reason.
Like, I feel like my mom's never going to talk to me again.
Are you sure you want to do the interview?
Yeah, I'm sure. It's just like, I know she's never going to talk to me again. But that's okay, whatever. I don't know how to talk. I'm so, like, nervous. Because my mom said she would disown me. But anyways,
So your mom said she would disown you? Mm-hmm. If what?
if I came out about my disorders because, she doesn't like that I'm talking about it. But, like, it's kind of a relief to me that that I know what's wrong with me, because, like, it sucks when, like, you know, you're not normal, and then you have to, like, pretend, because every single day I'm pretending, and it's exhausting.
So you are at a crossroads where you either have to decide to mask who you are for the rest of your life, or open up and potentially lose your family.
I've already lost my family. I've already lost them. Yeah.
How have you lost your family?
I call them and they don't answer. So, yeah. And I don't live in the same state as them. And they don't understand me. So they just don't want anything to do with me. And also there's a huge stigma that comes with antisocial personality disorder. I think a lot of people, when they think of ASPD, they think of either CEOs or like criminals, like inmates, and they don't think about the people in the middle who are just trying to live with a personality disorder.
You are a diagnosed autistic and a diagnosed sociopath?
Well, the technical term is antisocial personality disorder. Sociopathy and psychopathy are part of those disorders.
I've filmed a few interviews about antisocial personality disorder, and I've noticed in the comments people often confuse ASPD with being asocial. Mm-hmm. Can you discuss the difference between those two?
So antisocial personality disorder doesn't mean antisocial, actually. It's just the term that's used for sociopathy and psychopathy. A lot of people that are sociopaths are actually very social. Yeah, I don't want to be alone. I want to be around other people. So, yeah, that's a misconception. I have antisocial personality disorder, but, like, I don't want to be alone. I want to be around people.
Would you say antisocial personality disorder means you have a lot of characteristics that go against socialization and being part of a society?
Yes, it does.
And having healthy relationships?
Yeah, because right now I only have one friend, and all the other people that used to know me, ran away, so...
Why did they run away?
Oh my God. Sorry,
How would you describe antisocial personality disorder to somebody who has never heard of it?
I can only describe how it is for me. I can't describe how it is for other people. For me, I don't feel, I want to sound crazy, but like, I don't feel human. Like sometimes, like I feel like almost, like a different type of person. Like, cause like, I see other people and how they're, interacting and stuff, and I'm like, I want to be like that. Like, there's this want for me to be like that. And I can pretend to be like that, but like I don't know if I'll ever 100%, like be.
I'm just trying to put it out there. And there's a lot of people who swear ain't nothing wrong with them. You know who I'm talking about. Y'all know those people. What do you mean? Ain't nothing wrong with me. I say we need to go to some therapy. Let's tap into therapy. I don't need no therapy. Everybody needs it. Right? Because again, just as she described, the stigma of a sociopath is what? A criminal, or that's a psychopath primarily, right? But a sociopath is also seen as a criminal or a killer or somebody that's going to hurt you. But again, we think it's them and it's never us. I have to go back to this again and again and again. It is no measure of health to be fully integrated into a toxic society, a sick society. It's no measure of health. We think that America's toxicity, that America's dysfunctionality, right, doesn't trickle down into our thought process. Think of business. Business tells you it's never personal. In other words, it lacks empathy. Business is a sociopath. And we got to do business every day. And if we want to be good at business or effective at business, we have to protect a bottom line. And typically, bottom lines are always over people in terms of prioritization. Does that make you a sociopath when you are more invested in the bottom line? Look at it in terms of in a relationship context. You have a relationship bottom line, right? I'm not going to deal with this. I'm not going to deal with that. I should be getting this. I deserve this. I deserve that. And it's all self-serving. Are you a sociopath? If you're in it for you, are you in effect antisocial? Right? Because a relationship is a society of two or three, depending on whatever relationship model you're involved in. But typically, it's a society of two, right? But if you're only about what you want, right, would that make you a sociopath? In a world that prioritizes conformity, yet secretly craves deviance, the interplay between discipline and deviance reveals a paradoxical dance within our psyches. What if the relentless pursuit of self-love, our most potent shield against self-harm, also masks a covert need for the unpredictable rush of risk? You've done it before. You've dated the risk. You've dated the bad guy. Come on. You dated the girl that you knew you shouldn't have been. Come on. Contemporary research in neuropsychology and trauma studies suggest that early encounters with CPTSD and childhood adversity often etch patterns of disciplined deviance into our neural circuitry. What did the ladies? Well, I'm not gonna bring that up. These patterns, manifesting as intermittent bursts of dopamine, challenge conventional paradigms that view self-regulation as solely virtuous. Instead, they invite us to question whether self-imposed discipline might inadvertently reinforce our darker impulses. Contemporary clinical insights and ancient metaphysical wisdom converge here when we consider the shadow, a repository for all that we deny or repress. Engaging in what some label psychopathic thrill seeking, right, may in fact represent an unconscious plea for intermittent reinforcement, whereby the mind temporarily escapes the familiar torments of pain and disconnections. Philosophers like Krishnamurti and Pema Chodron have long probed the paradox of the self, urging us to confront the parts we shun. We're going to do that anyway. In doing so, they encourage a radical re-examination of behaviors that defy neat categories of good and evil. The disciplined deviant may thus serve as a living testament to the complexity of self-love, wherein the act of self-care coexists with a yearning for high-risk stimulation. Be honest. How many of you are dating for stimulation? How many of you are dating to get something just to appease you in that moment? You have no intention of nurturing it or cultivating it or growing it into something more meaningful? Be honest. 1-800-920-1580. We got Davy Lee from Brown, Arkansas on the line. Davy Lee, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, what's happening, man? I really think this show is so impactful to me and just a lot of other people who on here. You know, so I wish y'all would call in more, man. You should let her know that the man like me call in, because I ain't got no experience. I'm going to keep it all the way around. But what I do have is relationships with people, you know. So these relationships that I've had either come through a good way of me trying to nurture the wrong type of things in people, or me trying to, you know what I'm saying, motivate people to do the right things for themselves, you know what I'm saying? So I try my best to, you know what I'm saying, be there for folks at the wrong time sometimes. Or, you know, sometimes I enable their bad behavior by me just trying to be there, you know. So sometimes you got to really, you know, that's why I'm working on myself, like you said, getting counseling, working on certain things to, you know, really develop my mental. You know what I'm saying? Going back to school, doing certain things, you know what I'm saying, to really help myself be a better person for people and not enable their behavior. You know what I'm saying? Because that's only going to enable my bad behavior.
Man, let me just say this real quick, brother. Man, I appreciate you calling in here and not cussing and breaking it down for folk. Man, I appreciate you, Davy. Davy Lee in the building. But let me ask you this, though, real quick. Why do you feel like you try to go above and beyond the call of duty to either help somebody or to save a relationship or make a relationship work? Why do you feel like you have to do that?
Because deep inside, I think that's like how I'm trying to save myself, which really I'm really destroying myself by putting too much into others and not to myself. You know, so sometimes you know you try to make things what they want sometimes, so you can please yourself. You know, and it just be a backfire and edgy, man. So you really got to enable the positive things in people without trying to do too much. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll give your all for a relationship that ain't gonna be beneficial. You know what I'm saying? Because you looking for the wrong things within people. You know, you trying to really do this for yourself, like you're saying. You know what I'm saying? So you really trying to move on some shit called storm. You can cut it out.
No. Go ahead, finish.
Sometimes people, try to push for things that they feel is gonna be the end all be all. In reality, sometimes you could enable the wrong behavior of people because you're not really being solid, man. You think you are, but you're not, because you're enabling people bad behavior, and when in return you think you get something that you longing for, but you really need to learn a lesson from it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think you can love someone into loving you back?
Nah, man. It's about appreciation and respect. If you have respect for somebody, they should respect you too, but that don't happen always neither.
Right.
So, it's just about how you, really appreciate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate others for what they are and who they are. Sometimes you gotta let people fly, man. Let people do their thing, man.
So
You know
how?
what I'm saying?
Who raised you, bruh?
My mother.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it go, man. Sometimes,
And
that's
how
how it
was that
go.
relationship?
It's an up and down battle because I would challenge her in order to, please myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
good now because when I take care of my mother, I'm in a situation where I'm blessed, brother, so I can really provide for her.
I love
Like how
that.
she provided for me in the beginning. We still bump heads because I got my own mind state. Like I told her, you got to get about the crib now. I'm saying my money gets to the apartment.
You still got to take care of her though, whether she
It's
leave.
always and forever. I
Yeah,
mean, we got plans in the works. It's never gonna stop.
that's good, brother. I love to hear that. And you know what? Believe it or not, you guys can heal that relationship of any bumps or scars that may have happened early on if you guys, like collectively want to do that. And I say collectively because sometimes one person in the relationship, especially mother son dynamic, you know, one person may want to heal it and then the other person may not. Mom may not want to heal it, or mom may want to heal it and son may not want to heal it. But if you guys
Right.
can find like a common ground where you guys can heal that, I think that relationship becomes even more meaningful and beneficial and loving and caring. What are your thoughts on that? Have you guys ever considered doing such a thing?
Yeah, man. Me and my mom always got works, man, because it's about like really building with each other. Right now, I'm trying to she want me to get back in the church and stuff like that because my brother's been going.
Mm-hmm.
But like I told her, if it's really something that's gonna be beneficial for us, I will go. Because there's nothing wrong with communion. I
Right.
just can't, fake it. You know what I'm saying? I can't fake it like that's what I'm really. It's not that I'm not into God or like learning about the scripture, willing to work for it, but sometimes you got to realize like I want to move on a thing to where we all on the same path together as a unit, as a family, to where we moving right, and everybody
I
not
love that.
not with the same thing because they working on themselves. They got relationships, they on this and that. Some people know I need help with my mama and stuff like that, but they're not gonna help, and I can't bank on them to do that.
But I
If
will
I got a business.
I will tell you this, Davy, now. Whatever you guys don't reconcile or heal or start the healing process on, you do know it's going to show up in your adult relationships.
Yes, sir. I've been listening to you for years. I've been peeping into with just regular relationships with just me and my folks, other people that I intertwine with.
I already know. You see yourself showing up all the time, don't
you? Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Sometimes it be a whole monster. I'll be like, man,
Come
crazy.
on, man. We got to get this work in. Hey, Davy Lee, guess what you just did?
Contributed, huh?
Yeah, you did. Come on, man. You brought Arkansas in the building. If you want to bring your city in the building, all you got to do is call me at 1-800-920-1580. We on fire. Let's get it. Davy Lee, great call. Great call, Davy Lee. Davy Lee, great call. Say, Drake, that shit was funny as hell. Who else calling? I see my nephew is in the building. Nazarene X answered the call. I see my niece abandoned me tonight. That's cool. I got you. That was the funniest moment of the whole fucking show. When that motherfucker said, "Say Drake." Everyone's smiling. That shit was comedy. Oh, wow. Hey, man, Davy Lee, you cooked it, bro. Tio, have mercy. I got mercy. It's love. You already know. Me tired. I's tired, boss. I's dead tired, boss. But take my hand. I got to give you a piece of myself, boss. I got to show you what Wild Bill did. I got to give you a little piece of myself, boss. My voice, exactly.
Trauma physically changes your brain. It makes your alarm system set off super easily. And people often call this getting triggered, but what's really happening is that when the brain perceives a threat, the emotional part of the brain gets launched into high alert, and it basically shuts down rational thinking to a degree. Now, you might feel super emotional or scared. You might feel angry, upset, or numb. You might feel detached or feel a desperate urge to flee a situation or placate everyone around you. Now, this is all part of the protective fight, flight, freeze response. And for people with childhood trauma, it might last for days or hours or be chronic, right? Now, emotional dysregulation can make it seem impossible to function at work, at home. It makes it feel impossible to maintain relationships. But the good news is that you can learn to self-regulate. You can learn to snap out of the triggered response and back into the calm thinking part of your brain. Now, by the time you're watching this video, I've got a new baby, but Anna Winkle, also known as Crappy Childhood Fairy, was kind enough to help me out. She has an incredible story of overcoming childhood trauma and PTSD, and she has decades of experience helping other people find their path through it in their own lives as well. Now, Anna isn't a mental health professional, but I really value her personal experience, both in her own life and helping others. And because she's been there, she can understand things and explain things in a way that relates to others with CPTSD. So I'm grateful that she took the time to help me out. So here's Anna. She's going to teach you 10 ways to self-regulate, to calm down when you're triggered, and get back to yourself.
When you have complex PTSD, there is nothing worse than being in some crucial conversation or some big moment and some little thing triggers you. I'm Anna Runkle, also known as the Crappy Childhood Fairy, and I help people heal symptoms from trauma during childhood. I've got 10 tips for you that will help you be more aware and able to take quick action so that when your CPTSD symptoms do get triggered, you're able to handle it gracefully and to come back from that brink without having to lash out or flee or to be hard on yourself. Because that's what compounds the damage of trauma, right? Being hard on yourself for having symptoms that are in fact totally normal and not your fault. Now, I used to feel so much confusion and so much shame about my CPTSD symptoms. I didn't have control over them yet. I didn't even know there was a word for what happens to me when I'm stressed. I thought it was just me. Something would trigger me, and even though I knew it wasn't worth getting upset about, it happened anyway. And it's like I could feel it spreading through my body. Do you ever get that? The feeling of adrenaline and discombobulation, feeling numb maybe in your hands or your face, or having trouble expressing your thoughts, or you're feeling flooded with emotions like panic or rage. Have you ever had that? I used to get this all the time. I didn't even know what it was, but now there's a word for this sudden kind of stress inside, and it's called dysregulation. It's really common for people who had trauma in childhood, and it literally involves your brain waves and some of your body systems getting irregular and out of sync when certain triggers happen. Now, some triggers you can control if you really had to, but others are harder to control, or not until you've practiced it a lot. So if you get dysregulated, you've probably figured out how to survive, okay, while you're dysregulated. But as I'm sure you've noticed, it can make it really hard to think and focus and set boundaries and navigate your life, because when you're dysregulated, only part of your brain is working. And doesn't this explain so much about why it can be hard to make a change that sticks, and why we sometimes make the same mistakes over and over? It is not our fault we're like this. It's an injury that comes from traumatic experiences. And the good news is there are things we can do to heal and calm those triggers. So what are your triggers? For a lot of people, it could be a loud noise or a sudden shock or an experience of being vulnerable or nervous, or most commonly, emotional hurt, like being criticized or overlooked or rejected. And even when you know intellectually that the thing triggering you is no big deal, when you have PTSD from childhood, it doesn't matter. Once it starts, it's like it's too late. You can feel this altered state almost creeping through you. Do you get this? Where you're thinking, oh no, here it comes again. That feeling where I just say things that ruin everything, or where I blank out at crucial moments, or where I lose my ability to focus for 3 days, or where I make a total idiot of myself. And the feeling, once it starts, can feel impossible to stop. So the good news is you can learn to make it stop, and I can teach you that. Everybody gets dysregulated sometimes. Babies get dysregulated. Athletes get dysregulated. Brilliant scientists get dysregulated. I get dysregulated. And most of us will eventually re-regulate again. But for those of us with CPTSD, it can happen more often with more intensity, and it can be harder to return to a regulated state.
It's on fire tonight.
Y'all don't be tripping on niggas. These is goofy niggas. Like, these are goofy motherfuckers. I swear to God, like nothing else better to do in life. Nothing. It's really comical. Nazarene, we up next. Warriors get dysregulated. Yes, they do. What up, Kadeem?
As a semi-finalist for the coveted American Climate Leadership Awards, honoring our climate work last year. We're also delighted to announce year 2 of our Climate Justice Crusade. This year's
Fly, Eagles, fly.
campaign will link and combat the relationship between climate change and poor health outcomes for African Americans.
As you should be, Sean.
Climate inequities have taken a toll with multiple health triggers in the Black community, such as extreme heat and poor air quality, made worse by the recent wildfires. Our work to ensure climate justice and climate equity continues. In the coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing a lot more about our 2025 climate campaign. To learn more about our plans for this year and the companies and organizations supporting
Yes, sir. Truth hurts.
website at kpla1580.com. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. At KPLA Talk 1580, we got your black. To the 100 million people who owe the IRS money, this message is for you. We've helped tens of thousands of people close the door on their tax debt. So if you feel like you're stuck in a hole with IRS tax debt, then this is the easiest way to get a resolution quickly. To qualify for a no-pay or low-pay resolution, visit taxclosure.org to get free from the IRS once and for all. Keep your bank accounts income and assets secure. Tax closure is your single cure. KPLA Talk 1580.
Diamond Blue. God bless everyone. What up, Eddie?
Addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach: transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal: prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win.
I think we all had a good day today. Did everybody have a good day? Shane Butler is asking.
From KDLA Talk.
My day was cool.
With Target, checking off your Valentine's Day list has never been easier. First, surprise your favorite people with something extra thoughtful, like a soothing candle in a memorable scent, or a decorative picture frame to show off every moment. Both buy one, get one 50% off with Target Circle. And don't forget to treat yourself. Find the
Every day is a good day.
special occasion with 20% off women's dresses now through Friday. This week, find Valentine's gifts for everyone you love, only at Target.
KPLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KPLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living Pink. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives.
All right, guys. 30 seconds. Here come Andy. Andy, which one is next? Yeah.
obsessed by an impulse and later regret your actions. You're likely encountering the shadow, the unknown part of your personality, rooted in the personal unconscious and considered a complex, although there's also a collective or archetypal shadow, representing the unconscious and repressed side of society. When we turn away from some part of our psyche, the shadow runs after us, but we run away from it. The unconscious shows the face we show it. If we reject something within us, then it becomes destructive to us. We should rather confront it and ask it what it wants, as it holds insights essential for healing our fragmented selves. The challenge of shadow work is recognizing when the shadow takes over and acknowledging it, instead of being overpowered by it. The shadow is an ally who helps us to find the medicine in the wound, or the cure in the poison.
The cure in the poison. Yikes. We got a caller on the line. I want to get my good friend in here. Nazarene X from Atlanta, Georgia, just joined the fray. Nazarene, what are your thoughts on tonight's topic, my friend?
My thoughts are that people tend to play just the tip games with their trauma. And maybe it's because you really ain't been burnt, like talking about, one way or the other. You ain't found out that hot is hot. So the whole living in extremes, for me, I believe, where there was a time, so to speak, that I might have microdosed it or had to test my limits, or how you say, earn my wings in various capacities. I pray that once you, say, entertain that proverbial beast, you know how to walk that bama for real.
Yeah.
You just don't end up part of the food chain. Yeah.
Nah, sometimes it's just like they just want to be alive. Sometimes choosing somebody is an act of being alive, and then sometimes breaking up with somebody is an act of being alive. That's a heavy way to go.
Like, well, because that's actually what came to my mind in consideration earlier. Like, I wonder what one's scope or the definition of what it means to be alive is while they're navigating that so-called dysfunction. Because in a certain light, I feel like it's healthy for you to learn versus having no real-world experience of some kind of difference between this or that. So I don't know if it's just an act of rebelliousness or something wants to be more enlivened or given more energy. And I mean, I guess I can dig it, but that's through my own principles. Again, I'm looking really for a way to express it in a more clean fashion. Yet it's like, again, when you can refer to something that really hurt and not let it consume you, yet like serve as certain guardrails of what, not that you want to avoid, yet what might speak to the opposite of a route you used to go. More, willy-nilly or full-fledged, like you ain't never earned your stripes or what have you. Again, I revert to being open with talking to myself or even talking to whatever me feel like is about to navigate this ship.
But look at it this way. Wait, look at it. This is a very interesting way to look at it too. So the sociopath has always had a negative connotation, right? And then when we look at the sociopath, part of the antisocial, arm of things that, arm of ideas, right? Where you have the psychopath on one end, right? The psychopath is probably monitored more so by laws, right? Oh, this person broke rules. This person got kicked out of school. This person, is a criminal, violent, psychopath, sociopath, right? with the negative connotation, if we look at the sociopath, right, and we say, wait a minute, this is somebody who engages in the tactic of masking, right? They mask their intent and basically code switching in every aspect of their life. They can't really reveal the truth of who they are, right? If you distill that thought down to intimate relationships, isn't that the majority of the people you've ever dated? Or who's ever dated you?
That's a good question. I couldn't say yes without owning that same cloak or that same.
Of course.
Moment exactly. You feel me? Like,
of course.
You give credit or credence to it. Yeah, that's really dope. It's just my mind. Maybe because I'm not anti-society, but I am anti in a lot of ways. Like, put it like this. In my spirit, I don't want to lead with the quote-unquote persona. Like, I'm mindful of social taboos and so forth, yet by nature, in that sense, it could be because I'm still looking to resolve something or here to serve that purpose, but I feel called to fix my tongue on my mind to go ahead and declare it because, for example, like where there's an anti-Christ, I'll be like, well, I'm anti-Christ.
No, the contrarian. I get it. But the point that I'm trying to make is, like, sometimes we get so caught up in all the titles and categories. It makes us feel comfortable in the fact that we still haven't looked at ourselves. So again, the sociopath is masking, but I would say all of us are masking, right? Right? Especially if we have an agenda, right? We don't want to reveal the agenda, so we have to mask it through behaviors, through performances, certain activities, right? We have to do certain things, correct?
That is correct to an extent.
Stay with me. Don't leave. Nazarene X is cooking. Let's talk.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
Nazarene, you own one. I want you to go back to an extent. I like that.
Vaporize? Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors. Whoa. Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest. You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
We always got to be the man always. Hey, David P., call in and share your thoughts.
Fever powered through your day. Medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it. Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
KBLA Talk 1580.
No worries, Dave.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings.
Is Attitude on that playlist? Is Attitude on that playlist?
Founded by Nikisha, Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LiveYourLife32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
60 seconds.
The California Crusader News
newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
That's my attitude. That's my attitude. That's my attitude. That's my attitude. Let's dance. Hello? Who is this? That's my attitude. That's my attitude. What's up? Nothing's up. I'm sick. Wait a minute. I thought you weren't talking to me no more. Remember just the other day you was fucking me talking about my head was big. Now I'm making records, you know what I'm saying? Oh, when did you make that change? Well, listen, I got things to do, you know what I'm saying? You gotta get off my room. No, straight up. You see, you don't like the way that I am. But baby, I don't give a damn. After all, the things you put me through, I'm not gonna take this stuff from you. Say that you can't believe that a man could be so rude. Hey baby, and that's my attitude. You call me up on my phone.
Yo, my playlist is my co-host. You know I had to represent Pasadena, Altadena. Come on. Troop from Pasadena, man. Altadena, I mean, come on. The very park that they formed this group at. Well, members in the group, Alan and Steve, was burnt down. Farnsworth Park. They were always at that park, man. I had to, show my love for those brothers, man. Went to school with them, watched them blow up at school. Like, that's crazy. One day, they in the hallway, performing and practicing, and then the next moment, what? The next moment it's over, So it was a beautiful process watching those brothers. And like I said, that's Pasadena homegrown, so I had to acknowledge that. My brother is on the line right now, Nazarene X, Atlanta, Georgia. My nephew. Yeah, man. So I'm asking you these questions because I'm trying to draw this correlation between the two. Like, yes, we label certain people, psychopath, sociopath, whatever, anxious, preoccupied, dismissive, avoidant. Everybody gets a label. But when we start looking at the overlap of the definition, we see that, even people who are classified as so-called regular, still exhibit a lot of the behaviors. And so my question now becomes, this centering on, sociopathic masking. I do believe that we mask every day, right? And I think the masking we do is to tell ourselves that everything is okay. We haven't learned as human beings to be okay with the dysfunction within ourselves. Talk to me about your process.
Well, one, in that sense, as you were speaking as well, it reminded me of, say, like, the background for me is, what is our culture, right? Like, in spite of, quote-unquote, society, a proverbial world, a way of interacting and being that we might need to engage in.
Mm-hmm.
I believe drawing those lines as well helps us not get lost in someone else's or foreigners' imposed definitions of how we get down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, those lines definitely cross, yet I do see, as well as you're speaking, where our lack of a rites of passage in that sense, like a collective net of being brought up to cultivate who you are within certain bounds or education and information, so to speak, like where we don't have a rites of passage to come into society, then we, saying, by nature of us losing a grip on our own culture in spite of the world, that's where apparently we're entraining ourselves or, those who are of our kind, so to speak, to like just get say consumed by that beast, because it's like that's the same proverbial belly of the beast type of thing. So we want to be okay. We might feel like this isn't us all the way, like this mask or this world that we have to enter into or know how to navigate. It's not home for us, and maybe that just speaks to various levels of condition and the transactional type of thing, the commercialism. But
I have a question.
The bartering has a different air. Yes, sir.
I have a question. And we know about slavery and the generational trauma, intergenerational trauma that was passed down from that. Do you think there will ever be a generation of children born free of any toxicity in terms of what they pick up from their parents?
I believe so.
How do we get there?
I would say acknowledge that it's already occurred. But that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, it's hard for us to, in my mind, to navigate or accept that, okay, we're all quote unquote born into sin or failures and toxic worlds and so forth. Yet, in my opinion, and reserving that closed net, I believe that the innocence of our children, like us as children, in essence, we are so born into a sick society, a sinful world, etc. I still reserve my own tongue to say, nah, our children, our youth, in that sense, we are innocent, we are pure. That's my own, like, in spite of the world type of net. So, and maintaining that and having a personal belief and conviction to say, well, before corrupted, yes, I believe that, our children were cool. So prayerfully, we'll get to live and walk this earth and experience a more healthy life, like whatever, new world, new earth and so forth, a restoration. Prayerfully, we'll get to experience that. But even, like, if I'm not here to witness it in this body, I still say, that's what my presence here is working towards. I want to be a part of that new air of possibility. So I still speak life and power to that, to say, like, Lord willing,
right,
this earth or whatever earth it should be, like, then yeah, that's what's going down.
Right, because I don't think, I think healing is a long process, but I don't believe that it's an eternal process. Meaning it's gonna, you understand? There's an end to it, but there must be, in order to get to the end of it, you got to begin it. And I think on a collective level, we have to get to a space where some of the stuff that we're outlining, whether it's attachment styles, tonight we're talking about sociopathic masking, right? And how, people, who struggle with, the effects of ACEs, adverse, early childhood, experiences, right? Again, at some point, I would like to believe that we might be able to pull together a generation, right, of kids, of children that can get to a point where the parents are totally self-aware of what could be passed down and actively work to mitigate that. That's a goal right there. You know what I mean? Hey, guess what you just did, my nephew? ATL, salam alama. We appreciate you reaching out. Listen, I love having these conversations. I love to start them. But more importantly, I like to talk to you guys out in the streets and even on the phone lines. Call in. I love the discussion. We need to continue to have it. I feel inspired. That Super Bowl inspired me. I ain't even gonna lie. Not the game. I'm a Niner fan. But Kendrick, that inspired me. Art, just powerful messaging, that inspired me. And I think we have the power to do it. Listen, I'll be back here tomorrow with another slapper. The voice of reason is always here to do the dirty work. Let's get it going. I'll see y'all tomorrow with another slapper. Deuces. Come on, I hate it. Here we go. Boom. Hey, Troop was fire, boy. Don't ever get it twisted. Appreciate y'all. Love everybody. Once again, as Nikki would say, I love everybody. I love it when she says, I love everybody. All right, y'all. We out. Deuces.